the first question everybody asks is, what is big data? Everything, oh, it's a lot of data. It's not always a lot of data. In different countries and in different towns, you have very high-speed internet connections. So in some places, you have internet connections as low as 5 Mbps, going up to 25 Mbps, 100 Mbps, 500 Mbps, 1 Gbps internet connections. So the question is, when you have higher speeds, does it really help the economy of those places? There have been some work which has been done where people have looked at in a countrywide basis on whether high internet speeds have brought in economic development. And the answer is yes, they have. Higher internet speeds actually do help in many ways. But nobody had looked at the question of, if the internet speed in Kolkata is higher, for example, does it make it better in terms of economic development? If the speed in Durgapur is higher, or if the speed in Asansol is higher, does it make those cities better? Because the type of business, the type of folks who are in Kolkata is different from the type of folks who are in Durgapur, is different from the type of folks who are in Asansol, is different from the type of connections Durgapur and Asansol have in terms of physical roads and so on. So we got data from the federal government, the state government, the local towns. So we got data from about 10 different sources. So when we talk about big data, it's not only about how large the data set is in terms of volume, it may also be about how wide the data set is in terms of the number of variables. So we got data from 10 different sources, and together we had about between 70 to 80 variables, which helped us to answer the question, and we got the answer that yes, it does help local towns and communities, but it does not help each town and each community the same way. There are differences. So for example, if you are very far away from a highway, it doesn't help you much, because just internet connection is not good enough. So that is an example of big data where we were looking at we were not looking at a data set that had millions of records, but we were looking at a data set that had about hundreds of variables. So similarly, in the Census Bureau case, we are talking with credit card companies to give us their data. Credit card processing companies have a lot of data. When you swipe your credit card, and now with demonetization, you have to swipe your credit cards and debit cards a lot more, and most of the companies will get that data. So the question is, how do you get some intelligence out of that data? Who is buying what, where, when? Okay. So those are some kinds of questions that the Census Bureau wants to answer. Okay. So absolutely big data. And then we are also trying to get data from companies like Walmart, Amazon, their transaction level data, to find out what products are people buying in different places. Because when you have credit card transaction data, you don't know what products they have bought. You just know which company and how much were charged. But if you go to the source, the companies, then you know which products were bought in which geographic areas. So which geographic areas are demanding what kinds of products and what levels.
My question is, what is the difference between the census and the survey?
Okay, very good question. What is the difference between a census and a survey? Census is counting of noses. It's actual counting. So I don't know exactly the constitutional authority of the Census Bureau in India. I'll have to find that out. I haven't. But I do know that in the US Census Bureau, the Census Bureau actually is mentioned in Article 1 of the US Constitution. It says that the government shall count everybody every 10 years, and direct taxes and representation will be dependent on that counting. So a census means basically counting. A survey, on the other hand, is typically going to ask you a set of questions to know more about you, right? But they not only used to survey, they are not only surveying households, they also survey companies. And the economic surveys in the US Census Bureau are much, much more than the household surveys. But people don't know that. However, each and every company uses that information. How do they use that information? They use that information to project, okay. So companies are coming and asking, how is that data relevant? And this is something that you have to think about when you are going to companies. How is this information relevant to me? Give me something that I can use to actually project what my business will be, what my sales will be for non-profits or for local towns, for example. If they find out how many 5-year-olds there are in that town, they can project and figure out how many schools there should be, how many teachers should be trained, because those things take time. A lot of things take a lot of time. So the need of the hour is faster data, faster analysis, and putting the data up in such a way that you can do predictive analytics, not only just looking back, but look forward. Whether Donald Trump comes in or he doesn't come in, outsourcing is going to die. That is a fact. Because what is happening in outsourcing, what has happened to, that's a very good question, and we talk about this quite a lot. If you think of what has happened in outsourcing, mainly it has been people who have been sent there to do some job, which sometimes because of skills level, they are not able to do the job, and sometimes because it costs more, they are not able to do the job. But a lot of times those jobs do not require a huge amount of brain power. So those jobs which are repetitive in nature are going to be automated. Lawyers are not finding jobs nowadays because most of the discovery of legal documents during the discovery phase of a legal case are being automated. Most of the jobs when you are filing a patent during the discovery phase are being automated. And I know some of my friends who have companies who are doing those automations. Same thing, software automation is coming on. Bunch of other places automation is coming. So wherever there is a repetitive environment, and this is very important for you as you are looking forward to joining a kind of job where you want some stability and also you want the skill sets, you want to generate and develop the skill sets that will keep you employed for at least 30 years or so. That repetitive work will be automated, including manufacturing. Right? So you have to find a way where you are going to show value through your creativity, value through your knowledge. Okay. That's very important. The way we define big data is observational data. Okay, so for example, you are on your Facebook feed and you are looking through it, you're clicking on something, you're posting something, or you're on your Twitter or you're on your WhatsApp and sending messages and so on and so forth. Those are observational data, and that's what we call big data. Why? Because we are just like a fly on the wall observing what you're doing. We are not asking you anything. We are not asking you to change anything. We are not questioning you. We're just observing what you're doing. And many times when you're doing something and we are just observing you, you reveal your true preferences, your true colors. But the moment I ask you something, will you vote for Mamata or will you vote for somebody else? Okay. You may not want to tell the truth. So sampling is one problem. The other problem is that in such an area where there is some controversy, you may not want to tell the truth.
Spiral of celestial. Sometimes you do not reveal.
You will not reveal. Yes, you will not reveal your true preference. So those surveys which were taken, maybe the samples were wrong, or maybe the answers were misleading, and they didn't do any kind of follow-up to figure out whether the answers actually were misleading. So there are ways in surveys in which you can follow up and figure out whether your first answer was misleading or not. They probably didn't have the option to do that. So it could be sampling bias, it could be that when you ask something in a survey, they misled you. I don't do surveys. I deal with observational data. And what we have found is that, and I was just talking to some folks who have actually done a big data-based analysis of the US elections, which pretty much showed that Donald Trump had a higher chance of winning than Hillary Clinton. So it was purely observational data. Nobody asked them anything. They just took what was available in Twitterverse or people's Facebook feeds, and believe it or not, Facebook and Google probably know more about us and what we do and how we think, what we believe, than what you yourself know.
Does American agency snoop on other politicians throughout the world?
I don't have any knowledge of CIA or NSA. It is very likely that they do, because every country does that. Every country does that. So I would not be surprised if each and every country is spying on each and everybody else, because that's what it is.
Because, do you feel Indian companies, especially the IT companies, will survive another 50 to 100 years?
Most important thing for a company to survive and thrive. Surviving is not the question. If you are thinking about surviving, you will not survive. End of story. You have to be one of the best. You have to thrive. And to thrive, you have to reinvent yourself. Doctors are trained to see films and other elements, X-rays and other elements from cancer patients, and look at the different diagnostic data from different tests and try and figure out what kind of cancer you have and what might be a cure and so on. At the same time, every year, about 8,000 to 10,000 articles are published in the medical journals about cancer. It is not possible for a clinical doctor to read all those things, assemble all those things, make the connections, and read everything that has come up before in the last 30, 40, 50 years in cancer research. So what they have done is they have trained Watson to do that. Think like a cancer surgeon or a cancer specialist. And now Watson is able to identify cancer in almost 95 to 98% of the cases. So it is used as a tool by doctors to make sure that the doctors have not missed some of the new research that has come out, and at the same time it is used as a validation for the doctor. If the doctor thinks maybe there is nothing in here, and if Watson also says yes, maybe there is nothing here, so then okay, fine, maybe there is nothing here. Okay. Think of it this way: we are all users. What can you do to make something on it? How can you use the technology to improve your business or improve somebody else's life? Make your own business out of it. Think about that. Don't just be users. Everybody can be users. You differentiate yourself by becoming a creator. Use the mobile device to create something. You know, maybe create an app, maybe create something else, maybe create stuff that talks to each other. The point is that you can do it. It is not that difficult. It is actually not that difficult. You work on it. Maybe it will take a month or 2 months for you to figure out what is going on inside the system. And then you will see that things become very easy. You will learn it. And the internet is such a good tool to learn something. You just search for it. Somebody has talked about it and somebody has posted a solution most of the time. You may not find the exact solution. If you did, then it will not be an interesting problem. So you will probably find different parts of the solution. You have to figure out how to creatively put those parts of the solution together to create something for yourself. So what you have to understand is that when you're working with technology, you have to really understand that technology. You cannot blindly say that, oh, I'm doing this, this is what is happening, so that is how it is. No, that is not how it is. To a large extent, the people who design the technology, they really know what they're talking about. But you have to understand what works well for you. Don't go with the flow. Don't say that, I'm dealing with that same thing right now. I have a big data center and people want to set up a Hadoop cluster. Why? What kind of analysis are you doing? What kind of data are you handling? Why do you think Hadoop will give you better performance than Oracle? Unless I get the answer, I know that they don't know what they're talking about. So don't be like that.
Today we are sitting on times wherein we all are a network. If I'm sitting here in this kind of a latitude coordinates, I'm having kind of a network. I'm two steps onward, backward, whatever. My network is dynamically changing.
Social network.
Your social network, your IoT network, and your other network, your other behaviors, right? So it gives me a kind of a feeling that I don't know that what this next 30 years will be.
What is the role of a university and its relationship to a startup? I see two very different models. So, for example, when I see Stanford University, there are a lot of professors who work with their graduate students out there. And an example was Google. There are lots of other Sun Microsystems and others who developed from Stanford research. So professors working with their graduate students, that's where they create the ideas, that's where they try and figure out new things, do the research. And once they have figured out the basic areas, elements of the research, they say, hey, can we implement this and make it into a product and make it into a business? So what Stanford does, for example, is it gives the professor and the students complete freedom and says, fine, go ahead. We have paid you to develop this, but we don't care. Go ahead, develop a product, make it into a company. In the US, if you fail, that means you have tried. Don't be afraid to try and fail. I know several of my friends who have never worked for anything other than startups. I know several others who have left high-paying jobs in the IT industry and started startups. Some of them have failed. Some of them are doing fine. But the point is, unless you have tried, you don't know whether you could do it, whether you have it in you to do it. For a startup, getting funding is one of the most difficult things. And also getting the marketing information out is also very, very difficult. Who knows what you are doing? So as a university, those are two places where the university can help you. Okay. Funding and marketing. But you have to develop the product. The university cannot help you develop the product. So there are three things in a startup: product, marketing, funding. Okay. So maybe you bring your own funding, that's fine. Okay. Maybe the university with its different kinds of marketing channels can help you in the marketing. And at the end of it all, if the university says, hey, I helped you, we did it all together, maybe give me 10% of it, I think that's a fair share. Or maybe money supply goes down, there will be a dip in productivity and there will be a dip in, probably a little bit of a dip in GDP. But what this decrease in money supply means is that in the long term, a lot of extra money which was lying around will come into the banking system, will come into the taxation system. In the long run, the government is going to collect more tax. It will probably be able to reduce your tax rates for people who actually work in the organized sector and pay tax. the government probably will be able to do much more infrastructure development. It will also probably be able to control activities much better. So in the long run, I think this is absolutely good for industry.